Good afternoon and welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. I am so happy to have in the studio today the mayor of the city of Memphis, my friend Jim Strickland. I've known Jim for more than 30 years when we were a little younger. I'm just going to say a little younger, Mayor, and a lot thinner.
And less gray.
Exactly. A whole lot less gray. Mayor Strickland is an attorney. He's married. He has 2 children. When we first met, he was chair of the Democratic Party, Shelby County Democratic Party back then. That was our first time meeting, Mayor.
Okay.
And then from that point on, I remember you were running for re-election as chair of the party. And then I had just left Channel 5 and was getting active in Democratic politics. And you said, would you come on and be my treasurer? Of course, then we lost.
Right.
But that was okay.
It worked out better.
It worked out better. You know, you moved on to do wonderful things.
Earlier than that, when you ran for school board?
You know what? Were you chairman before?
No.
Well, then, yeah, because we have great thin pictures of when I ran for school board in 95.
Right.
In 95.
Wow.
Yeah. And I lost. But that's okay. You win.
So we
some.
started the show with my loss and then your loss.
But you know what? But look at where we are now. True. Okay. So
You learn a lot in losses.
I mean, you learn a lot. You learn what not to do the next time. It only makes you better. That's how I look at it, Mayor.
Absolutely.
So how has it been? How are you feeling? As this is December 1. How are you feeling? You got how many more?
Great.
You do?
My last day is December 31st. Paul's Young is sworn in January 1. But I feel good. We're busy. I thought the last year was going to be kind of a skate, and certainly the last couple of months.
Right.
But, I mean, you know, they always do stories about your first 100 days. I almost think they ought to do a story about our last 100 days. We had broadband fiber, stadiums, Grizzlies, Tigers.
100 North Main.
100 North Main. A sewer discussion, and I mean, it's just been busy, which is one reason I love this job. It's just you can have a lot of impact. And then about 2 years ago, our senior team had a little retreat to gear us up for the last 2 years, and we had Governor Haslam speak to us virtually, and he said something that still resonates to me today. He goes, "You are mayor until you're not mayor." So we're still out there recruiting police officers. Yeah. We're about to start a class that hopefully has 80 officers in it. I mean, we are working hard every single day because we are mayor until we're not.
Exactly. Yeah. So you feeling good about your last 8 years?
I am. I mean, there's obviously a lot of unfinished business, and I'm very frustrated and sad about the level of crime. And but I'm very pleased with the work that our team did, and I really believe that city government has done everything it can to reduce crime. And I know there's things that can be done better with the police and our youth programming, but that's not what's driving crime. There's outside things that are doing that, but I feel like we've done everything we can. I referred to in my weekly update a few weeks ago, but we've thrown the kitchen sink. We've thrown this kitchen sink. We've tried everything we can, and
but it's tough, Mayor, especially when you have and I know you might not want to say too much about this, but like state law changed, like almost maybe 2 years ago, like the open gun permit law. I mean, so anybody can carry.
And bigger than that, in 2014. They allowed you to carry a gun in your car without a permit, which means no training, no permit. Right. And what happened was at that time in 2014, 300 to 400 cars, 300 to 400 guns each year were stolen in our cars. Now we're third year in a row we've had over 2,000
goodness
stolen out of cars, because what happened was the bad guys figured out people are carrying guns in their car.
Exactly.
And they're not locking them up. So, and I tell people they're not stealing those guns to go hunting. I mean, they're stealing them to do bad things.
Exactly.
And I think that's one big reason gun crime has skyrocketed. I also think this is what I say. Our state and federal laws have allowed the proliferation of guns throughout our entire community. And at the same time, they don't adequately punish the wrongful use of those guns. Mm-hmm. So they've allowed them to go all over, and then when people wrongfully use them, they don't adequately punish them. And that's the worst of it can be.
So with that being said, then state laws need to change, right? Or is it
state and or federal? I mean, I saw an article. I printed it off. I'm so old. I actually print the article.
Oh, well, you did have a milestone birthday. I don't want to acknowledge that, but you did.
No, I'm 1 year off of that.
Are you?
Wikipedia is wrong on my birthday.
Okay, because I looked today and I was like, Wikipedia says he's 60. You're 59.
I'm 59.
Okay.
They had the wrong date and the wrong year. We've tried to change it, and
really?
Wikipedia won't.
Okay, well, I'll give you then. You're not 60 yet.
If
okay, it's
coming.
coming.
Wikipedia are watching. My birth date is wrong.
Because his birthday is October 29th. Wonder how I know.
Notice the date was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I forgot where we were.
We were talking about the laws. We were talking about gun laws. And,
federal law.
Yeah.
This is like the 30th anniversary of something of when Clinton signed the law for limiting restrictions on gun use, and it worked. And it's just, this is one thing I don't think the average person understands, how different it is with the level of guns on the street now as even like 10 years ago, certainly 20 years ago. Mike Rollins, who was our police director.
Remember Mike?
He started being an officer in like the early 90s. He told me, I said, compare the early 90s when you started and now with guns. He said, back then it was unusual to arrest somebody with a gun. Now it's unusual to arrest them without a gun. And that's including 13, 14-year-old kids. It is night and day, and it's speeding up. It's like a snowball going down a hill. 2014, they allowed guns in cars. Then, as you said, 2 years ago, it was open carry. And we saw an example of that. Thankfully, no one was hurt or even close to hurt. A man walking around Central
yesterday.
Garden. Yes.
Did he run for mayor?
That's what they
said.
said.
I read it in the Daily Memphian, I believe. With was it A4?
He obviously didn't hire you to do his promotion.
He did
not. We'd never heard of him.
I know. I'd never heard of him. And I read the trustee. Apparently, he lives on the trustee's block, and so Regina Newman's block.
I didn't know that.
And so he was walking down the street,
openly carrying. The police did.
It was an assault rifle, was it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not but according to MPD, it qualified as a handgun. Now, sometimes you and I think of a handgun, but there's attachments you can put onto it.
It looked kind of big, man.
I agree. But it's just an example of, I think, how bad the law is, and that people can walk around like that. It's like the TV show Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're in that place that there's too many guns and inadequate punishments and interventions with young people who are using those guns.
Do you think COVID had a lot to do with, I think so too, a lot to do with kids, teenagers being, inside, nothing to do, even though, the city, you've opened up, the centers where kids can go in and they can have opportunities, but still.
Well, I think it's even, I think I 100% agree with you. When life shut down, all the positive things shut down. Schools, sports, churches, youth groups, mentorships, but the bad things did not.
No.
Gangs did not socially distance.
Right.
And bad influences didn't. And these kids disconnected from good things and connected to bad things in big numbers. And, truancy is a huge problem right now. The schools don't like to talk about it, but it is. And when you have a large number of kids who miss 30 or more days unexcused, they've disconnected, and we're seeing it, and we can't get them connected back in. And you mentioned our community centers and our libraries. My first term, which ended in 2019, we had doubled the number of kids in our community centers and libraries. So the capacity is there. Obviously, pandemic hit and went down. We have the same capacity, and we're working our way up, but we still have not recovered to those pre-pandemic levels, and we need to do it. But I think a lot of things haven't come back from the pandemic.
Yeah. So a couple of questions for you. Do you think, Mayor, that serving on the Memphis City Council kind of prepared you for the mayor's office? Because a lot of people go straight from, a job like Mayor Wharton. Even though he was a public defender, then he became county mayor, but he was never on a legislative body. How do you think that, or did it help you?
I think it helped tremendously. I'm the first to go to council to mayor since '73.
Wow.
Chandler.
Okay.
I think it helped me. I don't know, not everyone have to do the same thing, but it helped me a lot because I was really familiar with the budget. I was familiar with operations. I really knew what I wanted to do when I took office and where I wanted to put more resources in there. It also taught me the value of interacting with legislative bodies. You were on one.
Mm-hmm.
And we certainly have not been perfect, but we have really attempted to build communications and partnerships on the city council, state legislature, even federal government. And relationships mean so much in politics. Mm-hmm. And you can be different parties. Like this gun talk that we just have, the folks I know in state government very much disagree with me.
Oh, I agree, yeah.
But we've had these talks with the governor and with legislators, and we can have those talks and disagree on things that we disagree on, but agree on what we can, and because of relationships. And being on the council taught me the importance of that.
And I think that made it a lot easier for you because you understood the mindset. You understood it was going to take 7 votes to move your agenda. A lot of people don't get that.
And in 8 years, we really only lost 1 vote. Wow. And that was I wanted to be able to hire police officers and firefighters outside the county. And there's really good arguments on both sides. Mm-hmm. And we lost that 7-6. 7-6. We lost by 1 vote. But that's the only vote in 8 years. So I'm pretty.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good with that. Now, it's when we win, it's not I win 100%.
Right.
I mean, it's compromise.
Absolutely.
Budgets are compromises, but I count those as wins because compromise is a win, and that's frustrating about politics nowadays. That the far left and the far right do not want any compromise.
Right.
And they actually attack their own if they compromise. And I just think
which is unfortunate because there has to be some room for compromise in order for something good to come out of government.
You're married, I'm married. Mm-hmm. You compromise every day.
All day long.
And I don't understand these people. Well, don't compromise.
Right.
I do it every day.
Right. And it's a tough job.
Yes. Yes.
I tell my husband that all the time. It's tough. It's a tough job. Love him, but it's a tough job.
Yes, it is tough.
That compromise.
And you think about you have 13 council members, 13 county commissioners. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their own beliefs. So sometimes you support this as long as it doesn't violate your fun. It's not illegal or unethical. But if somebody wants to spend money on Community Center A, mm-hmm. but you think Community Center B should get it, well, you just compromise.
Absolutely.
Because you'll get something else later on. And because there are usually always good needs for money. There really are. There are many more good needs for money than you have available resources. So it's the budgets, every time a budget's changed. But that's, again, compromise is okay.
It is. So I want to acknowledge the fact that you've had one of the most diverse C-suites in the history of city government. I mean, it's changed over the 8 years, but at one point, you had almost all women as a part of your C-suite.
About a year ago, every one was a woman.
Wow.
A woman fire chief, a woman police chief, chief financial officer, communications, legal, chief of staff, and human resources. In fact, the Tennessee State Senate recognized him, and
I was there. I was recognized with them.
Oh, very good, very good.
That was pretty cool.
I didn't set out to say we're going to have all women. It's just when you have openings, and you hire the best person.
Yeah,
it always happened to be a woman at that point. It wasn't always that way throughout the whole 8 years. It just kind of and it's not that way now.
Right.
When Jennifer Sink went to MLG&W, but I've been very fortunate to work with really, really good people, and they've been diverse. They've been smart. They've they've convinced me at many times that I was wrong, and I've learned so much from them. We're all having dinner tonight.
Oh, that's so good.
Every member of my senior leadership team
from the beginning of your
all 8 years. Only one is missing,
Oh.
and Ken Moody.
That's our guy.
Yeah, it's our guy, and he's got some daughter fun things, birthdays, engagement party.
Oh, yeah.
But anytime you try to get 15, 18 people together, there's going to be somebody who misses. So unfortunately, Ken's going to miss.
Well, that's going to be fun. Please take plenty of pictures with your team, because that's amazing.
And you know all of them. They're just good people.
No, Ursula, Maria, if I start naming them, Alex, I'm going to get in trouble. CJ, I love CJ. So, and I was privileged enough, didn't know who the police chief was going to be, but Ursula really did a good job of saying, would you work with me and the mayor on this? And so when I showed up that day, and you were announcing that CJ Davis was going to be your police chief, I was pretty amazed. Just, not knowing, and then trying to put together questions real quick for her. She is amazing, Mayor. You glad you made that hire?
Absolutely. Good. Absolutely. I think she's done a great job.
It's a tough environment.
But
it would be a tough environment for any man,
yes,
I think.
Anyone. It's a tough job.
Yeah.
Being a police chief in a major American city, it is really hard. And I think we're very fortunate to have CJ here. She's a great leader, and that's what stood out to me. She was a leader, and people would want to follow her. I love our police department. I often brag on them, and they are the best in blue. But we also had not had anyone from outside the department since the 70s.
I didn't realize that.
Kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just think you need outside eyes every once in a while. And
it's a different perspective.
Absolutely.
When you grow up in an environment, you have a perspective, but to have somebody from the outside come in and look at everything objectively, that's a different perspective.
And I think that's how, and she's making changes. We just added a rank we needed more field supervision, and we've just tested for that. And she's been able to get that done, and she's doing a lot of great things, and she's a good leader. Every things I thought about her have been true. And she's a good person.
She's just a nice person, and she remembers you. When you see her out, she's like, "Hey, Deidre." Yeah. I'm like, "Hey," just wonderful, Mayor. Great hire. So, want to brag on you a little bit.
Go on.
Yeah, absolutely. I was doing this interview. Let me just say, Mayor, I was doing this interview, and I represented the Church of God in Christ for probably 10 years. Bishop G. Patterson hired us after he saw what we did with the National Baptist Convention, and so I represented them through Bishop Patterson, then Bishop Blake, and I tell this story all the time. They were like 85% of my business. Like, I was sitting at the table when Mayor Harrington at the time was having discussions about Kojic. And I was in the conference room.
I didn't know this.
And I knew that they were going to leave. I just sensed that they were going to leave. I remember, and I'm not going to say any names, but there was a hotel president who was in the room. And he basically said, okay. And so I helped create like all of the language about around leaving Memphis, which was very sad, but was so proud of the fact that under your administration, you courted them to come back. And let me just say, when I interviewed the current presiding bishop, who was so cool, Drew Sheard, unsolicited, he said, Mayor Jim Strickland and his administration were so easy to work with, and I consider Jim a friend.
When I read that, I was really touched by that. Bishop Sheard is a great man. I loved working with Bishop Blake. We took office, and we said we want him back. Yeah. I spoke at Mason Temple like within the first month of me being elected, and I made and I got to give credit to Ken Moody. Mm-hmm. Ken, this is where, when you work with really good people, they get things done. And Ken worked it and worked it and worked it. And worked with the hospitality industry. Kevin Kane was very helpful. Hotels were. There must have been an attitude adjustment since the meeting.
Yes.
Because they worked with us, renovated convention center. It just all came, and they came home.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that work, but really thankful for Ken.
Well, and Ken and I have talked about it, and Ken talked about, but Ken also made sure to acknowledge that, gave credit to you, because he said, the mayor was engaged, the mayor wanted this, and he charged me with helping to get it done.
And I also forgot to mention the Memphis bishops helped.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
yes.
Bishop, I can see his face.
Porter.
Oh, Brandon Porter, absolutely. Bishop David Hall.
Both those were instrumental.
Okay. Awesome.
They're both on the board, and then other bishops. But it was a team effort, and very thankful. In fact, I've spent so much time with the Church of God in Christ. I think I ought to be like an honorary member.
Absolutely. I will email Bishop Sheard and let him know that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was just very pleased, and it was, like I said, it was unsolicited, and he said it several times in that interview. So.
And it was nice. Tri-State wrote an article about it.
Yeah. Who wrote that article? We're not going to say who wrote that article.
Did you write it?
I did.
Okay.
I wrote the article for the Tri-State.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that they knew. Okay. I mean, that the city was so engaged with them even on their project that they have in South Memphis. So.
I felt like we were like Penny Hardaway recruiting a prized recruit, and we got the victory.
So, Mayor, as you wind down, this is December, you wind down the last day of this month, you'll be signing off as the mayor of the great city of Memphis. How are you feeling about that?
The first word that popped in my mouth, popped in my head when you said that, is lucky. I am the luckiest guy in the world to be able to have this job. And in politics, luck is a lot of it.
It is.
And so I just feel very fortunate. I've loved this job. It's the greatest job I'll ever have. I've worked with the greatest people who've gotten really good stuff done. And I feel like the team has made Memphis a better place. We through aggressive recruiting and streamlining our processes on economic development.
Yeah.
I said this yesterday at the 100 North Main thing. The Memphis economy has momentum. I used to say Memphis has momentum, but crime is obviously too bad. But the Memphis economy, I'm not sure has ever been better. Thousands more people working. Salaries, income has gone up 27%. Poverty is at a decade's low number last year. 37,000 fewer people in poverty. And we have tens of thousands of really good jobs available and free workforce development. So you can become an electrician and HVAC, and you can have a really good career in Memphis. And I feel like we've had a part to do that. We've also, I think, greatly what they call the built environment.
Right.
From everything from I Am a Man Plaza, which is just
it's amazing,
beautiful.
The MLK Reflection Park is beautiful.
A new Ed Rice Community Center. We're about to open up Geisman Community Center, redoing other community centers and
Liberty
libraries.
Park.
The youth sports complex there, Leftwich Tennis Center. We put more money. We probably put $200 million in parks over 8 years, when that number would probably, over an average 8-year period, be about $20 million. And greatly improved our parks, and our libraries got a award, basically the Oscars, a couple years ago. Our fire department is ISO rated #1 for the first time since the 1960s. What that means is we're the top 1% of the country. And for people, it means we respond to your fires and medical emergencies on time and with better equipment and well-trained people. We've always had a good fire department.
Right.
But it's just all these great leaders in these different divisions have made a difference. And I think we've provided better services overall. And I think the best days of Memphis are ahead of us.
Well, but I have to say you missed a piece, because I would be remiss if I didn't say that when it comes to minority and women-owned businesses, you've done a hell of a good job.
Well, thank you very much.
Increasing those numbers, because at one point it was like 1% or less.
Well, but the city was at 12%.
Okay, that was the county that was at 1% or less. Okay.
And I don't know where they are now, but we started at 12%. 12% of our contracts went to MWBEs. We're now at 27.5%. And if you count the non-certified, because their business is too big, we're at 30%. And when we started 8 years ago, the best cities in the country were at 30%, Atlanta and Chicago. Now, hopefully they've moved up.
Right.
But I think we're poised to be in that top echelon because I had really good people running that program. And Joanne Massey did it for a long time.
And now she's over there at Edge running Edge.
Right, and is doing a
great job.
Great job. So it was a priority. And our friend Jerry Hall told me on the front end, he goes, frankly, that me being the first white mayor in a long time, there'd be more pressure on me to deliver in that regard.
Right.
And that might be right, but either way, we delivered.
And you really did deliver.
Well, but the good thing I think we've also proved is that you can get good quality work.
Absolutely.
You don't have to settle.
No.
Carlos Pfeiffer has a construction business, and he and I were talking the other day, and I thanked him. He's built us a new fire station and down in Whitehaven, and he's finishing up on the Pine Hill Golf Clubhouse. He's doing great work.
Well, and if you ever pass by the NAACP headquarters, that's his business. The work outside, the work.
I didn't know that.
That's Carlos Pfeiffer and his company. It's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so many good black-owned businesses in the city, and it's about time. Now, we got a long way to go.
Right.
Just because you do well with city government doesn't move the needle enough, but it's a good step in the right direction, which is one reason I think the best days of Memphis are ahead of us. I really do.
So 2 final questions in our little 3 minutes that we have left. So, new mayor's taking office January 1. Right. What's your hope for Mayor-elect Paul Young?
I think he'll do a great job. I think he's he worked in county government, worked in city government. I think he is well prepared. It looks like he's hiring really good people, which is the number one thing he needs to do, hire good people. And the couple announcements he made are really quality people. Tanera Gibson, she did work for us. She's done a lot of city legal work, and she's well prepared for that. And Penelope Houston.
She's wonderful.
Absolutely.
I remember her from the ALSEC St. Jude days. She's wonderful.
So I think you build a good team and let them do their work, and you'll get good results.
What do you think your legacy is going to be, Mayor?
I don't know. That's a really hard question, and it's hard to answer that without being egotistical. But some of the stuff we talked about, I'm really proud of that we've done, and it's always we. We talked about I Am a Man Plaza. While we've put I Am a Man Plaza, MLK Reflection, Ida B. Wells Plaza, at the same time we also took down those Confederate statues that were honors not only the Confederacy but to Jim Crow and segregation, because if you looked at the timing of when those statues were put up. And Kennedy has a quote, and I forgot what it was, but he basically said you can look at who a city honors by looking at their monuments. And we didn't want to honor those men anymore. And we took them down, and then the suffrage monument.
Yes,
that's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's on city-owned property. We help get it. So
Paula Casey's
awesome.
Yes, she is.
And I think now our monuments better reflect who we want to honor.
And let me just say, I was very proud when I was president of the NAACP to pay tribute to you because of that. Because that was major, major.
And it's a whole long story in and of itself, but because it was against the law for the city to do it, and we figured out a legal way to do it. But that's just one of many things I'm proud of.
Well, Mayor, thank you so much for your service. You've been an awesome mayor. You do have a long legacy, and other people are going to have to talk about that. I know it's not much that you want to talk about, but you'll go down in the history books, I believe, as one of the best mayors of the city of Memphis. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your public service. And thank you for coming on Dialogue with Deidre. I appreciate it so much.
I enjoyed it.
Thank
30
you.
minutes goes by fast.
I know, right? Right. Especially when you know somebody for 30 years. So we appreciate your coming into the studio. And thank you so much, viewers, for watching Dialogue with Deidre. We'll see you next time.